guys. Welcome to Enneanerds. I'm Bethany. I'm a type 5.
And I'm Grace, and I'm a type 7. And here at Enneanerds, we like to take a fun and quirky look at the Enneagram. So we hope that you have a good time with us today.
Absolutely. So today we are talking about the topic of spiritual gifts. And if you're not familiar with what those are, in the Bible, they talk about 23 spiritual gifts that basically are gifts from the Holy Spirit. And they are, I'm going to list them here just in case you don't know them. Administration, apostleship, artistic expression, craftsmanship, discernment, evangelism, exhortation, faith, giving, healing, helps, hospitality, intercession, interpretation, knowledge, leadership, mercy, miraculous powers, prophecy, shepherding, teaching, tongues, and wisdom. So it's a lot, I know, but I want to go ahead and get them all out there. So how are we going to tie this to Enneagram? You may be asking. Well, I kind of took the gifts of the Enneagram and I looked at spiritual gifts and I was thinking what stuff kind of matches. You know, my goal for this episode is kind of like, hopefully it's uplifting because you may be feeling, you know, in yourself that you don't have anything to give. You know, the Enneagram so often talks about our flaws. If you've read They Read Back to You, it is a lot about like stuff that you struggle with, you know, and stuff that's hard for you. And so we don't always see the flip side of it, which is like, what are some gifts that the Enneagram has for each specific type? And how do those line up with spiritual gifts? And what do they mean? So Grace, you have anything to add there?
I hope that I definitely am not like a deep theologian when I say this. So I hope that I'm not speaking out of line. But my understanding of the spiritual gifts is that, yes, you know, with your walk with the Lord, he might reveal different gifts that he has bestowed upon you. But I think as Christians, we do have access to every single one of these gifts, and they can show themselves in different situations in your life or different times in your life. So this also might, you might be super familiar with the spiritual gifts and already kind of have an idea of what you as an individual already have, but this might be kind of a newer concept to you. And so this might be kind of like a starting point for you too. So we're not trying to be like pastors and like spiritually advised, but this is something that we find very interesting too. So.
We're not trained in this at all. we just are gonna, once again, we're not experts. We just want to throw out things. We're just fans. So,
and if it resonates with you, you know,
yeah. The only spiritual gift that I didn't assign to a number was tongues. Which tongues is speaking in tongues, which some religions, some, you know, denominations believe that, some of them don't. It just depends. I wasn't sure where to put that. And
well, I think tongues is like an individual type of a thing too. So
right,
there's like a personality type that goes with tongues.
So if you were hoping for tongues, you're not going to get it. Not this time. So we're going to start at the top. Number 1. Okay. And so the Enneagram gift for type 1 is goodness and rightness, which means, you know, they have this uncanny ability to be good and to be right. And so the spiritual gifts that I think go along with that would be administration. So working, whenever talking about administration, somebody who is going to be diligent and organizing and kind of, I don't know, what your interpretation of administration, what do you think?
I feel like that is fairly self-explanatory with how just normal plebes like us use admin. Like you're very organized and you can handle lots of pressure and you can, you know,
right.
Can't think of another word other than organize, but I was also very distracted by your cat behind you.
Mike.
Yep. So sorry.
The green cat?
Yeah. Well, no. Your actual living cat. So if you're watching on YouTube, you probably saw Jack as well.
And Jack behind me.
Yeah.
I can't. I've covered up my. Me. Oh, sorry.
So I wasn't really listening to what you were saying.
Well, I cover up my screen while we record, and so I can't see behind me. I don't know what's happening. So I guess Jack is trying to have his own show over here. Ugh, Jack. Anyways, okay. So administration, I think leadership, shepherding, and teaching are all going to go well with the type 1, more so leadership. I mean, we talked about ones being leaders. I mean, natural born
Absolutely.
leaders. I think teaching goes with that as well. Your dad is a 1, right? And he
Yes,
teaches a lot. And
absolutely.
so my dad is also a 1. He's taught a lot of class, a lot of like Sunday school, a lot of like classes and stuff. So if you're looking for a way to use your gifts, that's what I think they are.
I think that's great.
So the type 2, the Enneagram gift is like love and nurture, which absolutely they are the grilled cheese of the Enneagram. So I said their spiritual gifts could be apostleship, which is the ability to kind of grow a community and have like people around you. Exhortation, which is the ability to, what was it, emphatically encourage people,
Right.
right?
Right.
Faith, giving, and hospitality. I think all of those are going to fit beautifully with the 2.
I think so many of those really go hand in hand too. Too. I don't know. Whenever I picture a 2, I just picture this lovely being all wrapped up in a bow. And I know that's not always accurate. They can be messy people too. But I do. I just picture this warm presence, grilled
Mhm.
cheese, as you said.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
hospitality, bringing people into your home, encouragement, being that place for people, I think is brilliant.
Mhm. Mhm. And also, if you don't know the word exhortation, that's what that means. You've learned a new word today. I learned a new word yesterday. So, because when I was doing this research. So for the 3, the Enneagram gift is hope and radiance, which I love the word radiance. It's
Mhm.
such a pretty word. It like literally it's like radiant, like you can picture it, like it's such a great word. I think that the spiritual gifts that would go with hope and radiance would be evangelism and leadership and prophecy. I said prophecy on this one, and shepherding as well. Of like I think like because evangelism means like being able to talk and being able to like go out and meet new people, and spread news, good news, or whatever you want to whatever you're trying to spread. Evangelism. So yeah, I mean I think that kind of goes with hope and radiance.
Yeah,
Bing,
absolutely.
radiance.
Yeah.
So I want you to put a graphic of me every time I do bing. Like I want you to like light me up and bing.
I will put that on the list. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Um, and then we have the type 4, which is the Enneagram gift is creativity and depth. And so I said for the spiritual gifts of that one be artistic expression, craftsmanship, interpretation, and knowledge. Uh, and I think interpretation is going to go well with like the depth part of that. And whenever we're talking about like interpretation, when it comes from like the spiritual side of it, it's like dream interpretation, which
Mm.
is what they kind of did. Some in the Bible with some dream interpretations. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think this is similar to 2. I feel like all of those things really work together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like we always picture 4s being artistic people, um, and being creative. So the craftsmanship, and I love that those are even considered spiritual gifts because those are such
Right.
gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus himself was a craftsman. So
That's true.
that's a really, really neat spiritual gift to have.
I agree. I agree with you. So, yeah. The type 5, their Enneagram gift is wisdom and truth. And so naturally, I gave myself like 6 spiritual gifts because, type 5. So discernment, which if you don't know what discernment is, it means having good judgment, which people have told me that I have good judgment in the past, which I haven't always felt like I have, but people always say, you're a good judge of character. You're a good judge. I'm like, okay, cool. Knowledge, also interpretation. I put prophecy, wisdom, teaching. And I have had some prophetic dreams in the past. It's hasn't been anything like super deep or anything, but I did prophesy Brandon and Grace getting together. So I had a prophetic dream about that. Just random things. So yeah, I think wisdom, teaching, all that's going to go with obviously wisdom and truth. So.
Yeah, I think especially something that makes a good teacher is a way to convey the truth.
Mm.
with compassion. And so I think fives we need people that are willing to dive deep into the Bible and into theology, because the Bible is an intimidating book in a lot of ways, especially when you look at all the context and the language is used and blah, 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 blah. So I definitely think fives. I'm sure a lot of theologians and, people of that ilk, which I am not, I'm sure a lot of them were fives.
Possibly. I think Paul was probably a 5 because he's very with his truths about about the churches and stuff. I think he's probably a 5. Yeah. So we also have now the Enneagram 6, and their gift is faithfulness and courage, as for the Enneagram, which I think it's funny because people talk about 6 as being fearful. That's like their deadly sin is fear. But the flip side of that is courage. Mm-hmm. And so they're constantly showing the other numbers courage because they are always overcoming their own fears. So I just think that's beautiful. It has nothing to do with spiritual gifts, but I think it's pretty. So then I put apostleship for them, faith, hospitality, mercy, and shepherding as well.
I think I said this in an episode just the other day. I don't remember which one it was, but I was talking about how the 6s that I can think of in my life make me feel really comfortable and very accepted and very welcomed. So I could see feeling very comfortable to be shepherded by them or being brought into their community because they are very, accepting people at any stage of their life is my experiences with 6s. So I think that they would be really, really strong in that. Yeah.
Right. And they're trying to build security a lot of the time. And so building that security, they're going to build up people as well. Yeah. So that makes complete sense, is what you're saying. So yeah. And then we have the 7s, which their Enneagram gift is joy and abundance. And so I was thinking along with that would be like some artistic expression, because a lot of people express joy through art, evangelism, giving, and also faith. I thought those would go along with that.
I totally agree. These are ones that I wish I had more of. I think I have the faith down pretty well, but and I know quite a few. I don't know. A lot of 7s, I think, are drawn to ministry.
Absolutely.
And so I do see a lot of those gifts in other 7s.
And you are a good artist, even though you say you're not. You are good. So then we have the 8, which is the Enneagram gift is power and protection. And I've always said like get an 8 in your corner because they're always gonna be your advocate. This speaks to that. So I said for them, they would have intercession, which is when you intervene on somebody's behalf. Leadership, obviously. I also thought of all the numbers to have miraculous powers, it'd be the 8. I don't know why. I just thought like they would just have like the power in them. And then also shepherding for them as well. Cause like once you have an 8 in your corner, they're your advocate. They're going to, kind of shepherd you as well. And kind of bring you back into the fold if they need to.
I feel like intercession is perfect for 8s. I think that one's probably one of the more intimidating ones. Because it is, as Christians, we are called to kind of call each other out when we need to, and have hard conversations with each other. And so I feel like that's where intercession can come in a lot. It can also be defending people and things like that. But I feel like that is a really scary place to be. So I think 8s would be strong enough. I feel like miraculous powers is kind of like tongues, like it could go for anybody. But I could definitely see an 8 with some miraculous powers.
Yeah, I mean, they have power. It's power. And then we have our 9, and their Enneagram gift is peace and oneness. So I thought like the spiritual gifts that go with that would be apostleship, faith, healing, helping, hospitality, mercy, like all the like feely good ones. I think like go towards a 9, because like peace, they just want to have peace. So I think kind of like they would do anything to help anybody, and they are like, I always feel very comfortable around 9s. And so like the hospitality, similar to the 6, I always feel comfortable around 9s. In fact, most of my friends are 9s because they're like the number I feel most comfortable around. And they're also the number who I think shows the most mercy and and like the most kind of forgiving. Because they can see everything from other perspectives. And so I think they have the most grace to give and the most mercy to give. So your thoughts?
I'm surprised you didn't put helps for 2.
I didn't.
No, you
I
didn't.
must have skipped over that one.
Yeah. I think those are spot on. I think they do all kind of go together. They work well. My mom and my husband are both 9, and I feel like I see all of that in both of them. I think maybe you could add like teaching or shepherding onto that as well, because I feel like 9s do bring a whole lot of wisdom as well, because they have so many different perspectives. So,
That's true.
but maybe not all 9s would be comfortable with that. So maybe apostleship kind of fits that. But yeah, I think that's great.
Cool. Well, I mean, this is kind of ending up being like kind of a shorter episode, but I think it's because neither one of us are like experts on spiritual gifts. But we can always dig deeper if we want to. But I just thought maybe like if you're struggling with some of your, your spirit or your faith, and you're just not sure what you have to give, well, now maybe maybe you can help in those kinds of ways. In spiritual gifts, there's something that I feel like you do kind of have to practice. I don't necessarily think it's something that it's just like, bam, you're the best at discernment, or you're the best at, artistic expression. Like, I think it's there, but I do think it is kind of like a craft where you have to like get better at it over time. So yeah.
And if there are any spiritual gifts that you as an individual are really desiring in your life, because there's definitely some that I wish that I had, you can always pray about it, because the Lord is very kind and very giving, and will, I'm sure he will bring you a situation where you can exercise that spiritual gift.
That's the kind way of saying it. It's like when you pray for patience, he's going to bring you an opportunity to practice patience. So he shows up all the time. So anyways, that's going to like wrap this episode up, kind of short and sweet. And yeah, I don't really have much else to add.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you leave us a review, we would love to give you a shout out. We're also on all the social media platforms. Well, not all of them, but we're on Instagram and YouTube and someday TikTok. But
someday, it hasn't happened yet.
Scary.
We're working on it. I got cats.
I'm waiting for the app to die, so I don't feel guilty that I haven't.
Girl, I don't think it's going to die. No. I don't think it's going to die. No. I love TikTok. I learned so much on TikTok. So much. It's very helpful. But we haven't figured out. I need to, anyway, we can talk about it later. So, all right. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.